You know, Carol, I've always been fascinated with the people that teach performers how to connect with an audience. Now, your father, now he taught classes and gave lectures. What did he teach you about
Now,
connecting?
how did you know this?
Oh, I did my homework.
He was a Christian Science lecturer and teacher, and he was what they call Committee on Publication. The committee is one man, and that was my father. And at a school at like junior high and high school age, he would come to Sacramento to sit in at legislature and speak up. He was a lawyer, so also besides that, and always a newspaper man, but he spoke up for the for the Christian Scientists.
So what did he teach you on how to connect with an audience?
I said to him once when I started. At 7 years old, I was elected secretary of the student body. So I read the minutes, like everybody that made the motion, and nobody much minded whether they were accurate or not, as long as they were entertaining. And in my campaign speech in San Francisco at Commodore Sloat Grammar School, I got up on the stage. I was an only child, and I remember Bobby Schmaltz nominated me. That was the procedure in the school auditorium. And I got up, and the reason I say his name is because I call him whenever I'm in San Francisco, wanting to thank him for putting me on the stage, and he doesn't know what I'm talking about. He just doesn't know, Well, I got up on the stage. That was the procedure. You were to tell your fellow students why they should vote for you, and of course I couldn't think of one reason. So, being an only child, I used to talk to wonderful people that I knew. And in my imagination, I understand a lot of only children do this, out of just not having anybody else to tell it to. So I used to do all these, and I thought, I know, I'll do Miss Berard, the principal of the school. So I said, go in the polls and vote for Carol, which she was apparently the forerunner of Julia Childs, So anyway, so she had this. Well, so they recognized her, and they all laughed. And then I did Mr. Schwartz, the chemistry teacher, who blew up the chemistry class on an average of once a term, and they all recognized Mr. Schwartz, and I realized what I think is funny, what I think is exciting, what I think is wonderful, so does everybody else. What I go toward, so does everybody else. And I realized, I suddenly, in the middle of the stage, I realized I'm no longer an only child. We're exactly alike. The whole audience, we're all alike. We go toward the same things and away from the same things. We cry at the same things, we laugh at the same things. And I realized we are alike. Now, I was 7 years old, and I was in the 4th grade, because I skipped a couple of grades. That was the last of my intelligence. But anyway, the rest, I lived for Fridays.
Oh. I love the jobs that actors have before they become, acting becomes a full-time job. Now, I know you had a variety of jobs. How good of a receptionist were you in the early days?
A variety job?
Well, I understand. Well, you had a variety of different jobs. But I understand you were a receptionist for a while at one time.
I know what you're talking about. At I. Magnon's in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
I was the hostess. Anyway, they called it the hostess, and I modeled, combination model and hostess. I was so thin from trying to get a job in New York that I was able to model, but I couldn't do it now, but I did then. And slowly I got healthy, and then I couldn't wear the clothes anymore. but you have to be really, as you know, underweight. And I used to model, and then I was fired by Miss Sparling, the head of the department. It was the Grand Couturier department. So I came out wearing. How long have we got to talk here, Mark?
I think we have a couple of, we have lots to tape. Yes.
Oh, all right.
Great stories. I love those.
All right. I walked out wearing a Traina Norell. It was Norman Norell and Teal Traina were a partnership then, and it was I had a black dress that had dolman sleeves from the elbow to the hip bone, and a turtleneck, and it was ominous, and it slunk, very slinky, narrow in the knees. And I came out and thought, I am the ominous women of the world. I am Elsa Lanchester coming through the beaded curtains. You know, I'm these terrible, vicious women, and I'm these evil women. And they started to laugh. And you know that then I did Tina Laser. We carried her clothes, and she was East Indian, had bells on her dresses and everything. And I thought, oh, I'm Uday Shankar, you know. And then I did. See, I was told before I modeled on this down the runway that a good model turns into the kind of woman that would wear that outfit. So I thought, oh, that's acting, I can do that. So I knew I had all my years growing up, and at Lowell High School and all. And the third was, there was a marvelous, and finally a wedding gown. I thought, oh, I'm the virgin of all time. I'm June Allison, and I floated down in a white red wedding gown and got more laughs than I ever got in the theater since then. And Miss Sparling had to fire me because women were making dates saying, let's go to lunch and we'll go see that funny girl at Magnan's on the second floor. But they never bought anything, naturally, because it looked funny, you know. Oh, it was an English riding habit that I wore. A high silk hat, black, white jodhpurs, black jacket, black boots, and a whip I carried. And if they asked me, now how much is this? Well, it's a few £1,000, you know. And I stayed in character. I couldn't stop it because I was in character already, and it comes out that way when you talk. You believe you are this character. And it just comes out automatically. So I chose him in my very finest English, and I cracked that whip, and I was off to the races, you know. And that got laughs too.
I was looking around at the pictures, great pictures of political leaders, LBJ. The picture with George Burns, I love seeing that. Now, didn't you and George Burns do a command performance for President Kennedy?
Oh, yes, we did.
Did you get a chance to meet JFK?
Mark Gretschmiel, you did your homework. You really did. It's a joy to talk with you. Yes, we did a command performance. We did indeed. And it was for President Kennedy. And it was to pay off his campaign debts. That was it. He didn't sell tickets for it. Well, he did. We all came, everybody came there to pay off the, you know, and we all entertained free of charge.
And so what did he say to you after the performance?
George?
No, President Kennedy. Or did you get a chance to meet the president afterwards?
Oh, yes. Well, everybody, most of them no, they were there. We were all snowed in, fogged in the airport. And a telephone call came from the White House. And she said, President Kennedy and Mrs. Kennedy they realized that you are fogged in just like they are. They were going to go to Camp David, and they can't go. And there they are sitting there, and they thought, let's invite George Burns and Carol Channing. We were working together at the time. See, Gracie, it was the end of her life, and Gracie chose me to work with her, George. That's an honor. And she would sit there in the front row and see it all. And Gracie would sit with my husband. Well, they called up, and they said, could you come? And they said, now, we'll just have it in the breakfast nook, because they didn't expect us to be here. Well, of course we'd be there. And it was Gracie's birthday, and she said, go, go. She had already gone back to Los Angeles, and she said, go. The Kennedys are Irish like I am. The Kennedys are Democrats like I am. Go. And so we said yes. So George carries an iron that big in his H&R wardrobe trunk he carried, and an iron that's that big, and he was always immaculate, and he ironed his clothes, you see. So he said, take off that dress, it looks terrible, it's all creased in the front. I told you, he ironed the creases off the dress, he ironed everything. Then he put on his toupee, I put on my wig, and he said that wig did and all that. We got dressed, we got over there. George didn't want to go at first, and he was scared, I realized. And I said, George, you're going to go. And my husband was there, and he said, come on now, George. And we got him to, and I said, come on, we'll be together, we'll hold it. We got there, and they adored him, the Kennedys. And in came, tumbling in, all the rest of them, Bobby and what was married to Ted Kent, Ted.
The Shrivers
Oh,
probably.
yeah. And of course, Bobby Kennedy, Ethel, was great with child, as she always was. And she stood there. Well, the Kennedys never felt that they should put you on exhibit or embarrass you, so they simply, they would do whatever they could. Bobby sang his camp song, Camp Wyanaganek, Rooty Toot, We Are the Boys of the Institute, Peaches and Cream, the team, all that. Well, he sang that. He got up and sang that. The president wanted to sing When Irish Eyes Are Smiling, and he couldn't think of the lyrics. And so I said, that's just fine. So anyway, and that's our president. Jackie Kennedy became, then Jacqueline Kennedy, was the MC. And she had a sword. She got the sword from Gettysburg, the Battle of Gettysburg, off the wall, took it and said, the president, the secretary of the, what was Bobby Kennedy? The
Attorney General.
Attorney General of the United States will now sing Mac the Knife. It was the era of Mac the Knife. So she handed him the knife. The president said, you go back there and put that sword on that wall. That's a museum piece. And you know, she did just what we all do. She said, yes, sir, and went back and put it back.
Well, I have to ask you two Hello Dolly questions.
Yeah.
You were talking about the picture of Gower Champion. Now, when the producer of the show originally called you in, he wasn't quite sure whether or not you were right for the part, right?
Yes. I had done a review for him, Lend an Ear. I did every character but Dolly in it. And so I thought, well, doesn't he know that if you can do this, 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 and this, you can usually do that, too, you know? But I was so crazy about Dolly, and I had read the original Matchmaker, and all that, that I went to him and said, Gower, you owe me this. I just finished doing a review, and I played 12 different characters in it, and Gower knew that I did just what he said to do in that. And so I said, you owe me, let me audition for it if you don't see it. He was thinking of all kinds of other people. I said, that's not Dolly Gallagher Levi. So we argued, and Mr. Merrick said, oh, this is ridiculous. Come on, get up on that. And so I got up on the stage where Oliver was playing across the street from Mr. Merrick's office, and stood there, and there was a woman, his secretary, did Horace Vandergelder.
Oh.
She played that, and I told him from the original, our script wasn't written yet, this is the way I see Dolly. She's got an old New York accent, although her name is Gallagher. All of New York had that old Yorkville accent, and every nationality had it. Even the Swedes had it. It was a New York, Brooklyn, Long Island accent, and she's got it. And she yelled a lot from living under the 3rd Avenue L. And I told him she's the biggest. She was married to Ephraim Levi, whom she adored. And when people love each other, they become each other's forebears. And she became his mother, grandmother, all that. And she loved Ephraim dearly, as you know from seeing the show. And so she became the biggest Hadassah leader from the Battery to the Bronx, you know. And when she marries Horace Vandergelder, who was the richest and therefore the meanest man in Yonkers and had no friends at all, when she marries him, you know he's going to be mayor of the town and have the whole town for friends. She's going to make it that way for him. She'll do that. And I did any good big chunks of it. And Gower just stood there and listened and listened. I said, now that's my version of Dolly Gallagher Levi. And then all of a sudden you see that she's frightened, just as frightened as all the rest of us sitting in the audience. We don't know what's going to happen next. Nobody does, not even Dolly Levi. And she's frightened and talking to her dead husband again. And she's a dichotomy. She's more than that. She's whatever happens at the moment.
Well, do people ever come up to you and start singing songs from your shows at all?
Oh, yes, they all say. Now, in New York, when I walk, you know, you always walk in New York because traffic is so bad. So I walk everywhere, and they're rebuilding a subway, and up out of the subway come people with helmets on. They say, hello, Dolly, I heard you were walking by up above. Or out of manholes, open manholes, hi, hello, Dolly. And people working on buildings, hello, Dolly. I really like that. I mean, it means they know me, and they know what I did, and they enjoyed it, and all that. I enjoy that. Yeah, everybody calls me Dolly, and I keep saying that's my name.